Hey there, how there, ho there. I'm Steve Cutter Diamond, welcome you to yet another Stone Cold Hockey video for the 1981-82 season. Hoping that the New York Islanders will get their third straight Stanley Cup. Well, they got the first two. They did get three straight Stanley Cups in real life, but I want to see if I could do it in video game mode. We're 10 points ahead of Montreal for tops in the NHL. Looking pretty good against New York Rangers. I don't think they can catch us. Yeah, they can't catch us for the division. We have 6 games left. And Washington can't catch the Rangers for second. So it looks like Washington will face the Rangers. Rangers will host Washington in the series. And Philadelphia, Pittsburgh will be fighting tooth and nail for that 4 seed in the Patrick to face us. We could ruin it for everyone. Montreal 6 points up on Boston, who are 10 points up on Buffalo, or 10 points up on Quebec. So we know Hartford's pretty much done for. So we're probably going to see Quebec be the 4 seed, Buffalo the 3 seed, and then there'll be a fight for the 1 seed to face Quebec. In the Smythe, Edmonton looks like they've won the division. Vancouver and Calgary are going tooth and nail for second place because it is important because LA does have fourth place and LA will play Edmonton. We'll see if Calgary or Vancouver will be in the Smythe division. Minnesota looking pretty good in the Norris. Winnipeg and Chicago and Toronto are fighting it out. They're still fighting it out. So I think Toronto just are ahead of St. Louis and Detroit. So Toronto will make the playoffs. It'll be a fight to see who plays Minnesota and who will have to face each other in the 2-3 matchup because it's a top four in each division, 1 versus 4, 2 versus 3. And the winners of the Norris and the Smythe fight for the Campbell belt. The winner of the Adams and Patrick fight for the Wales. Standings wise, we've played 74 games. A lot of teams have played 75 or 76. Well, 74 games. Us, the Rangers, the Habs, the Whalers, the Kings, and the Jets have played only 74 games. Whereas 76 has been played by Edmonton, Calgary, and Detroit. So by points percentage, everything looks hunky dory. We've scored 364 goals in this high scoring season. We've had, I think, 74 games. So that's what, 5 a game? 5 a game is 370. 5 times 7 is 35, and 5 times 4 is 20. So yeah, we've almost scored 5 goals a game. We are 6 games goal short. We've given up 205 goals. We've given up the fewest in the NHL. Only one team has had less than 225, and that's Montreal. Other team, sorry. We're 28, 4, and 5. We have the fewest home losses, tied with Edmonton, actually. But we have the most home wins. On the road, we have 21 road wins. Only Montreal is close to us. So we're dominant on both sides of the field on the ice. The Islanders are points thing. Bossy, Trottier, Tonelli, 100 points. Clark Gillies, I don't think will get to 100 points. So yeah. So yeah, I don't think Clark Gillies will get to 100 points. I think 300-point scores is pretty good. Bart Lane, 7 points the fewest. Yeah, Greg Gilbert hasn't got a point, but I think he's a late game. Billy, 28, 7, and 5. Ruley, 21, 8, and 5. So basically, we have a good defense. Highlights, lots of hat tricks, 111 of them. And yeah, Ken Houston, the hat trick for Calgary when they tied Colorado 3-3. We have 14 games at 30 or above. We haven't had any for a while. Philly versus Pittsburgh from October 11th. Still number one. Pittsburgh was up 5-1 and they blew it. Philly beating St. Louis 9-5. St. Croix over Lillooet. St. Louis was up 3-0. Edmonton, Colorado 8-5. Colorado finally winning a game. They were down 5-4 to Edmonton of all teams. St. Louis Islanders when we were up 5-2 and we choked, giving up 4 straight goals. But I didn't do that game. Boston, Detroit. So a battle royale, 13 goals between the original 6 fighters. Rangers, Boston, 7-6. Rangers were fighting tooth and nail with Boston, 3 goals in the third period. Islanders down. We were up 4-0 in Calgary, but we gave up 5 straight goals. Melanson did not do his job. Toronto went to Detroit and had a 5-2 lead and choked. Washington 7-4 over Colorado. They were down 4-1 to Colorado. And Washington Calgary when Washington had to fight against Calgary. All right, so we face Montreal. It's a battle royal between the top two teams in the NHL. Rolly the goalie against Rick Wamsley. So no Denny Herron. Montreal surprisingly going with Wamsley in the net against Muleson. Of course, we have Billy Smith. They have Rick Wamsley, who would then be traded to St. Louis. I believe, right? I think that Rick Wamsley would be the star goalie, but no, so not so much. Denny Herron, I think, retired after 82, right? Well, Denny Herron's had a great goals against. I don't know why they didn't put him in the lineup. I think they're like, well, we'll be fine. They have more losses than in real life, and if we go 5-1 exactly, we actually tie our real life record, which is unusual. Richard Savigny, number 33 in everyone's heart, the third goalie for Montreal, and Mark Holden also playing. So anyhow, our team, the 82 Islanders, Mike Bossy, perennial 50 goal scorer, but known for his back problems. Brian Trottier, great First Nations representation with the points scoring. Clark Gillies, a good guy, number 9, bruiser. John Tonelli, Bob Nystrom, who hooked up for the 1980 Stanley Cup winning goal, is tier 2. Bob Bourne, there. Denny Potvin, number 5 in your programs, so highly coveted as the number 1 pick for the Islanders in 1973, they refused Montreal's offer of 5 players for that first round pick. Brian and Dwayne Sutter, 2 of the 6 Sutter brothers, with Brian and Daryl. Well, Brian in St. Louis, Daryl in Chicago. Rich and Ron would wait a while to be drafted. And Gary, the seventh brother, actually ended up, staying on the farm and all that. Anders Kalor. Butch Goring, the guy who trademarked the phrase trade deadline after the Kings traded him to the Islanders in March of 1980. So the Islanders could have a number 2 guy. Wayne Merrick, Mike McEwen, who was a pretty good defensive player, offensive defenseman before he went to Colorado, and Don Cherry ruined him. Thomas Janssen, Billy Carroll, Stefan Pearson, Hector Marini, Dave Langevin from the WHA, Ken Morrow from the American Ice, Greg Gilbert, and Gordon Lane. The Habitants. Mark Napier, Keith Acton, Pierre Mondu, Mario Tremblay. I have to spit because I know about Mario Tremblay. Steve Shutt, great left winger. Guy Lafleur, winding down, but he's still around. Keith Acton. Bob Gainey still around, one of the best defensive centers of all time. Even the Russians were blushing. Doug Jarvis, the original Ironman before Hot Dog Kessel did so. Mark Hunter doing his job. Doug Ricebrill, Kitchener. Yeah, former Kitchener Ranger. And speaking of Kitchener, Larry Robinson still around. Doug Wickenheiser, the number 1 pick who has been flopping for Montreal. Montreal coveted him number 1 in 1980. Well, they had the number 1 pick because they made a trade with Colorado a couple years prior. And then all of a sudden, poof. They had the number 1 pick and took Wickenheiser. They could have taken Denny Savard, who was playing on the line with the Trois Denis. He was playing for Montreal in the juniors, and all 3 of that team, that line had Dennis in their name. Craig Laughlin, who would go to Washington later in a massive trade. Rajon Peanut Houle. Chris Nyland, the policeman. Gaston Shingra, Baby Bull. Rod Langway, who went to Washington, and Montreal rued that move because Langway won 2 Norris trophies for best defenseman. Brian Anglin went to Washington. He would be a color commentator around. And Gilbert Delhomme, Robert Picard, no Guy Point, he got traded. And then Rick Webb, Jeff Brubaker. Of course, we do the non-goalies. 5 minutes into the first period, it's Wayne Merrick. And they score! It's worth the drive to Acton, his 29th from Picard and Robinson. If you're not from Ontario, you don't know the reference. And the reference was, it's worth the drive to Acton because the Acton Work Warehouse, the old hide house for hides and all that. It's worth the drive to Acton. Much later. They have a chance? No, they fail. 3 minutes later, aggression. And they can't aggressive. It's Mondu. Do we have a chance? Damn it. No, they killed it. Bossy's tied. We're down 1-0 after 20. High potential. 1 minute later, they score again. Angblom, his second from Lafleur. Boy, oh boy. We're in trouble. Much later. No shot. 3 minutes later. No. Much later. And then a nice one from Canal and 2-1. 3 minutes later. Montreal, no. Oilers down 2-1 after 40 minutes. This could be a loss. Two minutes later. Injury? The defense has a boot. They took no penalty. They're trying to kill the clock, and they score again. Napier, his 30th from Robinson and Shutt. Oh boy. 3 minutes later. Nope. Damn it. Mondu from Shingra makes it 4-1. Looks like we're going to lose. And Larry Robinson. Here's to you, Mr. Robinson. Kitchener. 5-1. Of course he would try to ruin the back from Kitchener. We scored 1 goal on Montreal. Rick Wamsley pitches near a perfect game. Nystrom was the only one to beat him, but Montreal wins. That helps them win the division and be the 1 seed. We're already the 1 seed, so we can actually relax in a sense, but we like to play things. So we lose. Guess what that means? Simulation. That's right. We have to simulate. Colorado loses. I don't know how many games Colorado has left. After this game, 2-2 tie. How many games do they have left? They have 3 more games left. Calgary is their final game ever in Colorado. And we have to play Hartford, but we have to simulate because we lost. We won 7-4. Greg Millen, RIP, lost to Billy Smith. 4 goals for Hartford. Francis Stoughton got his 60th. Kostopoulos and Stoughton his 61st. For us, Trotz his 54th. Gillies, Brent Sutter, Bourne, Tonelli, 1 more goal. He's got 50. Mike Bossy, and then Thomas Janssen. So Bossy's got to 66 on Route 66. Toronto on Saturday night losing to Detroit, but it doesn't really matter. Our next game is in limbo because we don't know who we play. Oh, we're in New York. We're facing our crosstown rivals and Billy the Hatchet Smith against Eddie Meal. So the Rangers put in their backup, and I believe, yeah, the Rangers are number 2, right? Yeah, the Rangers are number 2, are guaranteed number 2, so they don't really have to play for anything. Yeah, the Ranger, how many games are left? 4. So yeah, I think the Ranger, I'm actually surprised. I thought the Rangers would probably put like Van Beesbrook in the nets. I mean, you're playing for nothing. But I think the Rangers are like, yeah, you're playing for dude, you're playing for nothing. Put John Van Beesbrook in the net. Yeah, that's what I think. I'd say just you have 4 games left. You're going to win. Yeah, John Van Beesbrook's going to come in and play net because the Rangers don't have anything to play for. They're 2 seed. Others were number 1. Do we put Rolly the goalie in or do we put Billy Smith in? Well, Rolly will probably get 1 or 2 starts anyway. The Rangers with Ron Duguay, a hire from Mike Rogers, a 100-point scorer, Mark Pavlich from the American Ice, Eddie Johnstone, Don Maloney, alongside Dave Maloney, one of them from Kitchener. Richard Rutzelainen, who had a 4-goal game against us but in a tie. Dave Silk from the Miracle on Ice team. Pat Hickey, Dave, as I said, Mikko Leinen, and had 6 assists against Philadelphia in real life in the playoffs, but Philly might not make the playoffs. Barry Beck, Shoot the Puck Barry from the Colorado Rockies. Steve Fickers, yeah, that was the trade for McEwen. Steve Fickers, Calder Trophy winner, still on the Rangers. Robbie Ftorek, who would be hated in New York for what he did with the Devils. Nick Fatiu, the protector, Mike Allison, Dean Talavis, Ron Grashner, 1,000 games in the Ranger uniform, Rob McClellan, part of the American Ice team as well. Carol Fadney, decent player. Andre Dorr, Tom Laidlaw, Ed Hospodar, Tom Younghans, and Peter Wallin. 3 minutes into the game, they can't do anything. 4 minutes later. They scored! Two guys. Yeah, they dominated. 1 minute later, the Cupcakes get the penalty. It's Lane. Fortunately, we are safe. Fortunately. Here's a chance. Oh, wait. 5 more minutes. No. Come on, guys. We would like to go 54, 16, 10 and do the impossible. Have the same home in real life record as televised record. 6 minutes later. Enforcer regression. All that for nothing. Tells this to the box. And no shot from Bossy. Trying to get the goal. We scored! 5 more minutes left. Brad Sutter hits 19 from Langevin and McEwen, trying to get the 20 goals mark. We're tied. 3 minutes later, we scored! It's a time for goals at a time to screw all the Rangers with a brew. The 67 from Potvin makes it 2-1. 3 minutes later, we go a hit on Duguay. 1 minute later, we go another hit. We're not dead yet. 5 minutes later, pressure. Hospodar. Ed Hospodar? We didn't cover him. But we score on the power play. Nystrom from Trotz and Tonelli makes it 3-1. That's good for us. Yeah, Hospodar. Did we not talk about Hospodar? We scored. Don Maloney, Kitchener. And Victor Rogers. 3-2. Oh boy, empty net. Smith coming. We're getting there. We stopped him cold 3-2, so the Rangers didn't have anything to play for technically. Nice job by Van Beesbrook, though. He didn't do that badly. We only win 3-2. Sutter, Bossy, Nystrom, Duguay, and Maloney for the Rangers. So we have 3 more games to play. Colorado at Vancouver. And they lose. They still have more ties than wins. We're in Philadelphia. Colorado loses to Calgary in their final road game. So Colorado ends with 1 win on the road and 9 ties. Unreal. 9 road ties. That actually ties for 3rd in the NHL with the Jets. Behind only Boston and Hartford tying on the road. By comparison, we only have 5 road ties. Actually, Montreal only has 4 road ties. Even Detroit, who are shitty, they've only had 4 road ties. So we play, wait, who do we play? We play Philly. Philly's at 65, Pittsburgh's at 63. So Philly wins, then they almost have 4th place sewn up because 4 points with 2 games left. Pittsburgh only has 2 games left. So yeah, we're basically not playing for anything. Well, Winnipeg, Chicago, Toronto are still fighting tooth and nail. Well, Toronto can't be second. They're either going to be 3rd or 4th. They might be playing Minnesota. They might be playing Winnipeg or Chicago on the road. Yeah, we know Minnesota's the 1 seed. We know, yep, Calgary can't catch Vancouver. So Vancouver's the home team against Calgary, LA, Edmonton in real life. But LA, Edmonton will be separated by at worst 33 points or something. Much less than the 50-plus points in real life. Montreal's the 1 seed, Boston number 2, Buffalo 3, Quebec 4. So Quebec has to go to Montreal, Buffalo goes to Boston. We're number 1. We know the Rangers are number 2, and we'll host Washington in the first round. Philly and Pittsburgh will still be fighting out. There's still 1 decent playoff race left. So we go to Philly, and Bailey Smith will go up against Pelle Lindbergh. So the Flyers are going with a youngster, Pelle. I would have went with like Pete Peters, but they're going with Lindbergh. I think they're trying to screw with the Islanders, or maybe they're thinking that it doesn't matter. Pittsburgh will screw up. I mean, did we play Pittsburgh twice or no? I think we'll play Pittsburgh at least once. So maybe we'll be helping them out. But regardless of that, Philly, Pelle Lindbergh a couple years away from being superstar. Bill Barber, Kitchener. Brian Prop from Brandon, part of one of the best Western Hockey League teams of all time, as well as Ray Allison. Ron Flockhart still there. Reggie Leach, the Riveted Rifle, still around Philly. Ken Linsman, the Rat. I hiccuped. Tim Kerr, known for his power play goal scoring ability. Bobby Clark, still the captain. Inco Silvasalo, Daryl Sittler. The Flyers really needed Daryl Sittler, and he was away from Toronto. That heartache. Bane Wilson, Paul Holmgren, a hat trick in the Stanley Cup Finals, which is amazing. Bob Hoffmeyer, there. Al Hill, 5 points in his debut, nothing since. Glenn Cochran, Tom Gorns, Greg Adams, former Canuck. Mark Patel, Jimmy Watson still around. Brad Marsh, 1,000 games, ending his career in Ottawa. Fred Arthur, Bob Daly, Fred Braff, and Lindsey Carson. Much later, possession. Do we take advantage? No. Gillies and Marini. 2 minutes later, hit. Much later, we have a chance and we can't score. 2 minutes later, we score. Calor, his 14th from Goring and Tonelli. Well, any every goal counts. Agitator, and we get agitated. Born agitated. Dane Wilson trying to score before the half. No, Wink Martindale. Is he named after the game show host? Anyway, power play? No. We stopped Sittler and we stopped Cochran. Bobby Clark, number 16 in the program. And we score! Papa properly goal. Danny Potan from Tenali makes it 2-0. Islanders. 2 minutes later. Nope. 4 minutes later. The penalty's prop. Do we have a third? Trottier. I thought he was going to do it. 1 minute later. Okay. Prop? No. Billy Smith does not want to help Philly out. Yeah, Philly and Pittsburgh are battling tooth and nail. Northwestern Street. That's for sure. Much later. Unfortunately, Flyers deliver 2 hits. 3 minutes later, it's Bane Wilson. Tonelli can't score his 50th. He wants number 50. And a fight between Nystrom and Holmgren. Holmgren, I know, was a head coach in the NHL, but I didn't think he would be a fighter with Bob Nystrom. They have a chance to score and trying to break the shutout. No. Empty nets are coming up. Butch Goring sweeps it into the empty net. McEwen and Sutter with the assist, and we shut out the Flyers 3-0. So we're helping the Penguins out after all. So Billy Smith does his job against a shutout. Come on, you really think Billy Smith is going to not take the chance? So there's 3 days left in the season. That means Philly's lead on Pittsburgh is still 2 points. Everyone's played 78 games except for Edmonton, Calgary, Colorado, and Detroit. Well, Colorado's got 1 more game left in their thing. Pittsburgh Rangers. And Pittsburgh only gets a point against the Rangers. So the Rangers could have helped the Flyers out. Winnipeg beats Minnesota. And that is, I think that's it. Yep, Winnipeg wins. That clinches second. So now Toronto can still catch Chicago for third and play Winnipeg in an all-Canadian matchup, meaning Chicago would have to go to Minnesota. But Winnipeg, second place, what a job. They won 9 games in real life. They win 32. I think in real life, 33 wins in real life. That they have 32. Close enough. We have a Saturday night. We host the Flyers, and we could have Pittsburgh out. Pittsburgh doesn't play, so Pittsburgh will play on Sunday. Now, Pittsburgh plays the final day against the Islanders. And the Flyers play the Leafs. Colorado's final game ever, they tie Calgary 4-4. And Calgary was down 4-2. Reinhard Pavlinski ruined Colorado's party. 16 ties, and 12 wins. So Colorado just couldn't do it. Colorado only had 1 road win. And that was in Vancouver, November 22nd. So that was road game number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that means that Colorado went 30 straight road games without a win. Unreal. So many ties, but wow, holy shit. Rangers Hartford, Rangers win, it doesn't really matter. Vancouver LA, LA wins, it doesn't really matter. Buffalo Montreal tie. Quebec beats Boston. Chicago beats St. Louis, so the Leafs have to match. which they do. They beat Washington. Well, Chicago has to play, right? Chicago plays Minnesota. All Chicago has to do is get a point against Minnesota, and they'll have third place. They'll go to Winnipeg, and meaning Toronto will have to play Minnesota in the playoffs. The Penguins are 1 point down to the Flyers. The Flyers need a win. If the Flyers win, it doesn't matter what the others do to Pittsburgh because the Flyers will get that 4 seed. The Flyers are going with Brink St. Croix in the net. We're going with Rolly the goalie. So, yeah, I know the rule is technically the rule is that we don't play the same team twice in a video. But because this is a playoff, this is playoff implications on the line. We're going to allow it. Man, there were 38, 31, and 11 in real life. They only won 27 games in the replay. Wowzers. Number 2, hot to trot. He's 55th in Boston and scored 1-0. Right now, Pittsburgh out. 2 minutes later. 2 more minutes. Aggression. They have a chance and they fail. 4 minutes later. Aggression. He will keep up with Gillies. Of course he would. But Tim Kirk gets whacked. Much later. It's Cochran. Luckily for them, they can't do anything about it. 2 more minutes. 2 hits for the Flyers. 4 minutes later. Barsky, guess who? The captain. Clark is 18 from Bain and Linsman. 1-1. Remember, the Flyers need a point, meaning that our game against Pittsburgh is meaningless. 4 minutes later, power play no. There's 50. Finale set to 50 goal mark. Arkansas, Christian Arkansas State. Yeah, I figure. Bossy and Goring go DP2. What can you do? We're up 2-1. 4 minutes later. No. Early on Langerman. Goes to tie. They do. Tim Kerr, first power play ability from Linsman and Hoffmeyer. 2-2. I think the Flyers might be playing for a tie. Jetskill. The Rat scores from Sinisalo, trying to beat us and make our game against Pittsburgh irrelevant. Aggression? Sinisalo from Marsh 4-2. And I think that's going to be... They're 20 minutes away from the playoffs, the Flyers are, and the Penguins are going to be hosed. Yeah, well, I think Washington didn't make the playoffs, didn't they? 3 minutes later. It's good! Wayne Tata! Boston Langerman makes it 4-3. 2 minutes later. Split. And they have a double minor in the split. It's Cochran. Why does it say double minor? It's 4 minutes, isn't it? Double minor activated. Oh, man, we couldn't score when we did. 2 minutes later, damn it, Bossy. 2 minutes later. Catch the tie, Bossy! Damn! Where did we hide it? Gets a hit on the tail. 1 minute later. Gonzalo, ouch. 2 minutes later. Catch the tie, Steelers! Look at the bot. He is. The 68 from shot. 4-4. Billy's like, no matter. We've got time. We just need a point. Flautier had a chance to win the game at the buzzer. Can't. And good news for the Flyers. They got what they wanted. They got the point. We tied Philly. And that means Philly will face us in the playoffs. And Pittsburgh is out. We did tie the game, but TLTL. So, well, Philly's now up by 2. I thought Philly was up by 3 now. So, well, they have more wins, though. But Pittsburgh wins over us. Oh, geez, our game does mean something. Then the Flyers would have won, and that was it. They needed to win. A tie means they're 2 points up. But again, I mean, they might win. So, Hartford, Boston, meaning nothing. 2-2 tie. Quebec ties Buffalo 5-5. Chicago beats Minnesota, which means Toronto's game against Philly means nothing for Toronto. They will have to go to Minnesota. Chicago will go to Winnipeg. St. Louis beats Detroit. Edmonton crushes Winnipeg 9-1. Vancouver beats LA, and Washington beats Montreal. So Toronto, Philly, 1-2-3 autoplay. And it's Phillies win 4-2. So the Penguins game against us means nothing. So the Flyers beat the Leafs. The Leafs were demoralized after seeing Chicago win their game. So the Leafs demoralized. They're going to be number one. And our game against Pittsburgh means nothing in the standings. We win 7-2. Edwards couldn't beat Billy Smith. We were up 6-0 before you know it. Boutet and Bullard for Pittsburgh, but they basically knew they were out of the playoffs. Sutter, Giles, Merrick. Giles with the hat trick to get to 40, Tonali, and Kalor with the goals, 7-2. And everyone's done. We're going up to the playoffs soon. So we put up 117 points. Only Edmonton and Montreal scored more than 100 points. Edmonton scored only 103 points. It was actually shocking. They're 31 points ahead of LA, but it was 51. So anyway, it's big. Third and goal. Wow. So as I'm taping this, Florida just lost to South Florida on a last second field goal. The Gators blew it to South Florida. Wow. And my buddy's down in Florida. Anyway, so the goal scoring leader was Gretzky with 76. Mike Bossy put up 68 for second. Not bad. 68 is pretty good. Blaine down in 65 for third. Yeah, Gretzky only scored 76 goals in the simulation instead of the 19 in real life. Blaine down in 65. Rick Middleton. Brian Trottier was fifth with 55. Pretty good. Middleton fourth. Dennis Baruch, 55. Barry Pedersen, 53. Lanning, 53. Tonelli, 51. Dale Hawerchuk, 51. Mark Messier hit number 50. So 11 50 goal scorers. 29 40 goal scorers. As Clark Gillies got to the 40 goal mark with the hat trick. Yeah, Peter McNabb, LC Court, Steve Bosak with 44 goals. Wow, I didn't expect that. Jorgen Pedersen, I don't think. John Anderson with a 40 goal season. How did Rick 5 do? 46. He didn't even do as well as he did in real life. He had 51. Points wise, Bossy was all alone for second. Gretzky crushed it, 181. He did worse in the simulation than he did in real life. Bossy 133 for second. He almost had as many assists as goals. He just missed by 3. Denny Savard and Bobby Smith tied for third, 120. John Tonelli, Peter Sassy, Dennis Merrick, Brian Trottier, Marcel Dion, Mike Rogers, Rick Milton, Dale Hawerchuk, Dave Taylor, Barry Pedersen, Blaine Sutton, and Thomas Grandin with 100 points. Glenn Anderson almost made it 1,700 point scores, but he missed by 2 points. The penalty minute mark, like it matters. Paul Baxter at Pittsburgh, 382. Tiger Williams, 20 goals with 364 penalty minutes. Glenn Cochran, Pat Price, and Al Secord with 300 penalty minutes, despite the fact that Secord had 305 for at fifth in the penalty minutes. He had 45 goals. Terry O'Reilly had a 30-goal season. Rick 5 took 29th in penalty minutes, even though he scored 46 goals. Wow. Goals against average, Billy Smith's 268 behind Danny Heron, who was 22 forward 1. Montreal was 25 17 and 11 without him. Billy Smith 268, Grant Fuhr 2.8, Roley the goalie 287. Well, he was 21 9 and 5. Smith 32 7 and 6. So did Billy Smith have the most wins in the NHL? I think he did. 32, Grant Fuhr 29, Richard Berdeur 27. So yeah, we did our goalies quite well and all that. Biggest surprise, Pete Peters was 16th, 9 games below 500, 3.9 in goals against. You had 25 game winner Michel Dion and Dan Bouchard doing worse. Tony Esposito had 20 wins and did worse. Pat Regan had 24 wins and did worse. Who's the worst goals against? Phil Meyer, 218 and 5 with a 5.9. Bob Sylvie, 4.81. Joseph Barrett, 4.58. Ron Lowe, 10 and 7 with a 4.29. But such is life in the NHL. So it'll be Toronto versus Minnesota, Chicago versus Winnipeg, LA, Edmonton, Calgary, Vancouver, Quebec, Montreal, Buffalo, Boston. No, first round series. Boston, Philly Islanders, and Washington Rangers. So we'll see what happens. Oh, I guess we should see about our standings. 53 wins for us, most wins in the NHL. My team 73% point percentage, pretty good, huh? Yeah, Pittsburgh had the most points by a non-playoff team with 64. We've scored 300. We scored 389 goals, beating Edmonton by 11. We missed the 5 goal per game mark by 11. 222 goals against. That is the best by 13. 29, 5 and 6 at home. So we had 5 road losses. The the most. Well, Edmonton had 4 losses. So Edmonton had the fewest. But on the road, Edmonton was puny. Only one team in the Campbell Conference was above 500 on the road, and that was Minneapolis. As for us, it would be us, Montreal, and that's it. Well, Rangers were 500 on the road. But yeah, 24, 11, and 5 on the road. We beat Montreal by 3 wins for the road. So we know what we're doing. Final point mark, Bossy 133, Tonelli 119, Trotz 117, Gillies 87 points. Lots of people down the Gordon Lane with 9 points. Goals, Bossy with 68, Trotz with 55, Tonelli with 51, Giles had 40. Bourne almost got to 30. Tonelli with the most assists. Penalty minutes, Gordon Lane 120. Wow. That's, we only had like a handful of people with averaging 1 penalty minute per day. So yeah, Smith 32, 7 and 6. Millinson 21, 9 and 5. Yeah, 53, 16 and 11. So we almost had the same mark. We had one more tie in the simulation and one less win. As we look at how good we did, we started off 4-0-2. We did quite well considering things. We had a 13-game winning streak. We had a 9-game winning streak and a 13-game winning streak. So we beat Washington, Detroit, Winnipeg, Philly, Montreal, Rangers, Chicago, Vancouver in the streak before losing to Philadelphia of all teams. And then a 13-game streak. We beat Philly, Hartford, Pittsburgh, Philly, Colorado, Pittsburgh, Chicago, Pittsburgh, Quebec, Toronto, Calgary, Toronto Rangers before the St. Louis beat us. Michael. Yeah, so you know how it was. Yeah, we had a 3-game losing streak to Calgary, Edmonton, and Quebec, and then we won 9 in a row, and then we won 13 in a row. Amazing. So that's all highlights. Our biggest win was 10-0 against the New York Rangers of all teams. And there were 10 games above 500 coming to this game. Melanson beat Meal, Goring, Gillies, Carroll Sutter, Brent Sutter, Tonelli, Bossy, Merrick, Marini. Our worst loss was losing 8-2 to Washington of all teams. We were undefeated, but obviously we weren't undefeated. Melson went through 32 minutes and sucked. Bossy and Potan scored, but Washington goes by Marouk, Duchesne, Walter, Gustafson, Gardner, Merrick, Jarvis. So we lost by 6 goals, which was embarrassing. Buffalo only their worst loss was by 5. Edmonton didn't lose by more than 4, and we gave them the biggest defeat, 5-1. 6 games. Minnesota's worst loss was by 5. Montreal's worst loss was by 5. Who else suffered? Well, anyway, lots of things. Hat tricks. There were 115 hat tricks. Clark Gillies was the last guy to record a hat trick. Too bad we had the goals thing. 15 games hit the 30 mark. So who's the new interloper? Edmonton, Colorado was ninth. Is that new? Yeah, 8-5. Edmonton, Colorado was tied with Edmonton 5-5 before Edmonton scored late 3 goals late. So I guess that got some marks and got themselves ninth on the list of the highest scoring game. And the best game was Philly Pittsburgh when Ricci could not stop the bleeding. Harrison was hurt after 23 minutes. And Pittsburgh was up 2-1. Pittsburgh scored 3 more goals for Ricci and then gave up 5 to Bridgman, Bain, REG, Sincero, and Leach. So that's what the playoff picture will look like. Best of 5. Next time we face the Flyers. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. Adieu.